Hello there, welcome to this interview tutorial meant to assist you prepare for your interview. This is a series of tutorials on interview preparation that I have been working on this month. If you haven't watched the previous videos, please go back to them. I will encourage you to do so because they form a foundation for this video and the ones that will follow. My name is Martha and I'm glad to have this session with you. I look forward to a good time. So we are going to be talking about a common interview question, and this is, what are your strengths? In my previous video, I talked about 5 common questions that you're likely to get when you go for an interview. But this particular one, we will specifically tackle the what are your strengths, and I will focus this on fresh graduates. So you have just finished college, or you have just finished university, or you're about to finish. And so you'll be going for your first interview for internship, or you're perhaps going for an interview for your first job. So either way, these are for beginning workers or beginning potential employees, and hopefully this will give you a head start even as you move out there. Of the video today is we are going to look at some 10 to 15 strengths that you can articulate, or you can say, or you can give when you're asked this question. And then I will also share a 2-step formula on how to respond to that, so that you have the strength, but you present it in a way that catches the attention of the recruiters or the interviewer. And then thirdly, I will give you an example that you can go and adapt for your own use. And yeah, we'll move on from there. So without much further ado, let us get on with it. So let us look at the strengths that you can use to respond to this question. One of the things, just before I start, one of the things that I have seen as I've sat on interview panels, that when particularly new graduates, those ones going for their very first interview for internship or even for a job, when they're asked this question, they tend to say something like they're hardworking, or they simply give one statement, one adjective, and they go quiet. So that is not good enough, and that's why we will go through this video to help you understand how you can do it much better. So some of the strengths that you can utilize, one of them is reliable and trustworthy. I am reliable and trustworthy. Or my peers or my colleagues will consider me to be reliable and trustworthy. You know, you can state it differently, but you don't simply say my strengths are, and then you start counting reliable and trustworthy, flexible and adaptable. It's not a matter of listing the strengths, yeah? So you can say it differently. I've given you examples that you can say. My colleagues consider me to be reliable and trustworthy. One of my greatest strengths is being reliable, or I am considered to be highly reliable and trustworthy. So you can again put it across like that. And before I go on, the other caution I would want to give is, do not give a strength that you do not have, for the sake of you do not want to just give because you think it will get you the job. Sometimes interviewers follow up this question with a question that will help them establish whether what you're saying is true. Remember, you had sent your resume previously, and there are places either you have worked or projects that you worked on as a student because you're still starting out, so you do not have a lot of work experience. You may not even be very clear about your strengths at this point because you are starting, so that is understandable. How will you identify whether you are reliable and trustworthy? As part of your interview preparation, you will need to look back through your experiences in school, and even experiences at home with people around you. There are certain attributes, and I will say soft skills. In this sense, we are not talking about your technical skills. We are not talking about your IT skills. We are not talking about your software, abilities. Software development abilities. We are not speaking about the technical aspect of your skills. We are talking about soft. These are they're not skills per se, and they're not abilities per se, but they're things that you are that people can actually point out. So there are people you know very well who are not reliable at all. There are people who are not trustworthy at all. So depending on the role that you're applying for, there are certain strengths that will be desirable by the employer. And how do you get to know this? We will be talking about it later in the video. But for now, reliable and trustworthy is one of them. The other that you can utilize is flexible and adaptable. You'll note that I have put the two together, even in the first bullet. Why? Because the two go together. You can just pick one. You may not need to indicate the two, but I've just put the two together because they are related. Then you can also say you're disciplined and focused. How do you know that you're disciplined and focused? Again, looking back into your experiences in school, you did work in groups, you did assignments, and probably in your group work, you were the go-to person, to finish up the assignment that you're doing as a group. Or because of your writing skills and your dependability, people or your colleagues, your peers in class would allow you or request you to be the person to prepare the work and make the presentation in class. And perhaps it was data collection, for example, and the data collection required a lot of discipline and focus, and your colleagues will constantly request you to do the same. Yeah, so there are many experiences that when you look back to, you can discover that, I think people consider me to be disciplined and focused. That is especially when you are really not too sure what your strengths are. Then you can look back and see what people say about you in regards to things that they admire about you, or things that they thought were really positive about you in the relationships that you have with the people around you. And the other desirable, particularly for those starting out, is being a fast learner. Now, hopefully you are a fast learner and you have learned very quickly in the other experiences that you have had. Something else that you can say is that you're a strategic thinker. This may not be applicable to many roles at the starting level, but being a strategic thinker is still important because it helps an employer see that you are able to look beyond the immediate. You're able to see the big picture. You're able to see how your role fits in the overall organization. And again, a caution, do not indicate that you are a strategic thinker when you actually are not, or you are still not very certain. Again, because of the possibility that there will be follow-up questions that you will not be able to respond to adequately. You can also talk about being collaborative, or you are a good team player. You can also talk about being detail-oriented. If you are thinking about maybe customer-related roles, client service roles, maybe accounting, finance-related positions. There are a number of positions at entry level that will require detail orientation. So this is one of those that you can give. You can also talk about creativity and innovativeness. If you're innovative, if you're someone who is proactive, and being proactive is highly desirable by many employers, particularly at the starting point, because you have no previous experience under your belt yet. It is really important that you can demonstrate to the employer that you are proactive. All right, now that you have a number of adjectives that you can use to describe yourself, let us get into the two-step formula that you can utilize to respond to this question. Earlier on, I'd given the example that you can say that my colleagues consider me to be, or I am strong in 1, 2, 3 areas. Now, the two-step formula includes two things. You have to match your strengths to the soft skills desirable by the employer. All right? So you need to be very clear on the desirable soft skills. And the good news is that there is a way to get this. And how is that? The job description. By the time you are getting to go for an interview, an employer has probably put out there a job description, a description of the qualifications that they require for a particular position. Now, this is where your answer is. This is the most important document for you as a potential employee. You need to understand this, because then you'll be able to draw out specific soft skills that are desirable for the employer, and then you will match those to your strengths. So that way, you will simply not be listing strengths for the sake of listing strengths. You will be using every single available moment to set yourself apart from other candidates that are also competing for the same role. Yeah, so I hope we are clear that the strengths that you're going to indicate need to be relevant to that position, and they are soft skills that are indicated in a job description. In the next segment, or the next part of this video, we'll be talking about how to identify those, and we'll do some practice together. Then the last part, or the second part of this formula, is history. You can replace that with a story. You need to demonstrate that strength. So when you say your colleagues considered you to be reliable and dependable, and they often requested me to do A, B, and C, or because of my reliability and dependability, I was often selected to be a leader in my group. You see? So you have given a background. You have supported your strength with something, with a story, and a believable story at that. And this is the reason why I was saying you cannot simply guess your strengths. You need to be certain of your strengths. And if you're still not very sure, because I understand at this point you may still not be very sure of most of this, just use one or two that you are very certain of, you are strong in. And you can even ask the people around you, maybe your friends. You can talk to people that you trust, who can help you identify your strengths if you're still not very sure. All right, so I think the formula is very clear. Be certain about the strengths, one or two or even three, and match them to the soft skills. And secondly, demonstrate that soft skill and backing it up with a story. So let's try this. Let's see how this works. So this is the sample job description that I picked out from somewhere, and it's a role for an administrative assistant or an administrator in a particular organization. So this role requires the supporting of several program managers, and therefore there is need to align their and schedule their appointments. There'll be handling of travel arrangements, they'll be assisting with report writing, and also managing of incoming and outgoing phone and email correspondence. Now, having read through this and having listened to the part of soft skills, what are some of the soft skills that you can draw out from this? Please put them on the comment section so that we can be able to identify those. But for those ones who are still not very sure, I will mention about 3 of them, and then you can mention the others on the comment section that I will not have highlighted. So this is what you'll be using even in future preparations for interviews. This is a very critical part of your interview preparation, identifying the soft skills that are required in the job. Remember, when it comes to technical skills, everyone who has been shortlisted for the interview met the minimum requirements, meaning that they had the maybe academic qualifications, and they probably demonstrated technical skills by the course maybe they have taken, the academic course that they have taken. So in that sense, you are the same as any other person who has been shortlisted. So where your advantage is going to come in is in the soft skills, right? Because at entry level, you are most probably having very little experience, maybe 6 months, 1 year, or even less, yeah? So your cutting edge would be at this demonstration of your soft skills, because soft skills are different. People have different strengths. People have different weaknesses. People meet or are able to fit the culture of the organization differently. And the culture is a soft aspect of the organization. It has nothing to do with your technical skills, right? So this understanding of the soft skills in a job description is the key part of your, of setting yourself apart or getting above the competition at that point. So maybe looking at this, I can pick out a few. If you're going to be supporting several program managers and aligning their calendars, then you need to be able to multitask. I hope you can say that you're able to multitask. And as you handle their correspondence and as you make travel arrangements and making hotel and restaurant reservations, I believe this all have to be done somehow around the same time. So there is need for you to be able to prioritize, because one program manager will come and request for A and B, another one requests for you to do A, B, and C. Maybe there's a report due at this particular time. So you need to be able to multitask. You also need to be able to prioritize. Get that? So two things, multitasking and being able to prioritize, meaning that you're highly organized, right? So this is not obvious from the way this has been indicated, and this is actually what the employer is looking for, your ability to demonstrate those aspects. Because there's no point of me getting an admin assistant who has the bare minimum qualifications but is not organized, cannot multitask. At the end of the day, that employer will have to replace you. So you can see that the fact that you have bare minimum qualifications and technical skills is just as bare minimum as it is. Yeah, so this is the way you basically beat the competition. So I've given two of them, and then managing incoming and outgoing phone calls, and basically this also means that you need to be reliable and you also need to be dependable. Right, so let's get to a sample answer. I'm reliable and trustworthy, and this was noted by my classmates back in campus, who often nominated me to finalize on our group project reports, a task that I delivered on with excellence. So you have mentioned that you're reliable and trustworthy, and you've also given us a backstory, and then you have also squeezed in the fact that you're able to write reports, and you have also indicated that you perform your tasks with excellence. So you can actually pick out this and adapt it for the role that you're interviewing for. And you can proceed to practice. You can practice in front of a mirror. You can practice with someone. And you can even practice with a professional who does mock interviews. And this will be helpful to you. I hope the video has been helpful. And if you found it helpful, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you can be able to get more information on the same. And should you want more personalized help, then you can also reach out to us. You can even comment on the comment section below, and where we are able to pick up, we can pick that up with you. I wish you all the best as you practice in your next. I actually wish you all the best as you practice and as you also go to your next interview. Thank you and bye-bye.